you weren't there last night for the live stream, I did a poll. Said, hey, what type of video do you want to see tomorrow? Everyone voted. We're doing a new 2022 mock draft. Close the weekend off on a strong note, and then Monday we'll get back to our positional rankings, mock the mocks, and so on and so forth. But what's crack-a-lacking is your boy Broshmo. Just in case you did not know, so go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I always look forward to hearing from you. Now this I want to explore with different possibilities, especially with draft rumors aplenty. I want to kind of see what if some teams go this route, then what could happen in the draft. So this isn't necessarily what I think will happen or what I would do, but some of the rumors I've seen. And yeah, again, we're experimenting with possibilities. So let's go ahead and get into the nitty gritty. Popular rumor now is Travon Walker potentially being the #1 pick. We've had Aiden Hutchinson there for a hot minute. We've experimented with other possibilities before this, but what if the Travon Walker hype is real? It's legit. Choo choo, the hype train is here, and he goes at #1. They get a prospect with a very high ceiling, and I'm not gonna lie, I think the floor is pretty high as well, because we know this guy can at least stop the run, and he's got a special blend of size and speed that will be tough to contend with in the NFL. So Travon Walker going to the Jags, do I agree with it? Not necessarily, but it's what we're doing based on, again, the hype train. So at #2, what does Detroit do? Well, we're going Aiden Hutchinson. For me, this is kind of a no-brainer, you know? If he's here for the Lions, get the hometown boy. He's a locker room guy. He's a culture type of player. Someone Dan Campbell will love. We talk about Travon Walker having this high ceiling, while Aiden Hutchinson, I don't think he has the ceiling of a Travon Walker, a KT. He certainly has probably one of the highest floors of any of the other prospects in this class. All right. And I'm just going to scroll up real quick because I'm going to adjust this so we can look at, Evan Neal. I'm kind of stuck here with this. I could have went KT. I could have went Kyle Hamilton. Shoot. I think we've even seen Ahmad Gardner in a few mocks. Not mine, but I saw him in a recent mock, I think, that Bengal and Daniel Jeremiah did. Again, it's cool experimenting with different possibilities. But for me, this comes down to if you could pick the top OT on the board, you go ahead and do that. You start Evan Neal at right tackle. They're already playing Titus Howard majority of the time at left guard last year. I don't think he returns to right tackle. If anything, his best play was at left tackle, but I mean, Tunzel's there, so it is what it is. So if I'm the Texans, my game plan is let's surround freaking Davis Mills with good talent on the offensive line. Maybe at wide receiver. I'm going to be eyeing wide receiver at 13. Does it happen? We'll find out. So we can get a good evaluation of him. And I think that's a good strategy to go with if you're the Texans. All right, on to #4. And I went with Garrett Wilson. I don't think this is a pick that I've done personally, because I personally think the wide receiver pick would be nice to happen at 10. But you might have to trade up for that scenario, because I really think the Jets really do want to go wide receiver at some point in this first round, just based on they went after Tyreek Hill. They were heavy on the DK Metcalf trade rumors, the A.J. Brown trade rumors. So yeah, it would be nice. You gotta move. You gotta, at least think you gotta move ahead of the Giants and the Falcons if you want to guarantee yourself the top receiver on the board. Yes, the Giants have even been in the receiver draft rumors at 7. So, hey, let's just say they pull the trigger here with Garrett Wilson. They get the top guy on the board. I think he'd be a wonderful fit there for LaFleur's and his offense. So we're going with Garrett Wilson. It's wild how the boards shake it up, but hey, that's what we're here to do. We're here to experiment what happens if the draft goes different ways. And then at 5, I went with the sauce, and this is my thinking here. You got a Ken McWanu, you got Charles Cross. I'm cool with either one of those guys. So I think I'd rather pick them at 7 and just take who's the top guy, whether it's KT, whether it's Kyle Hamilton, whether it's Sauce Gardner, and then let the Panthers do whatever they want to do at 6. And I still think I'm gonna at least end up with one of the top tackles in this draft class. So we go with Sauce. We know the James Bradbury stuff. In terms of he's a popular trade candidate. He's maybe some guy that could probably restructure. And Adoree Jackson, is he in the long-term plans for the Giants? I don't know, but Sauce Gardner, fabulous pick. Top corner on the board. Him and Derek Stingley. All right, so at 6, I actually was like, you know what? I think Carolina is going to be in on this draft class, this quarterback draft class. I just don't like the pick at 6. Can they trade out? With KT fallen, I think that is a possibility. So who trades up? But the Baltimore Ravens trade up to 6. What's it cost them? Find out at the end. We'll cover trades at the end. So, yeah, find out there. Because the trades reveal who I pick for the Panthers at 14. And I don't want to do that. So, they trade up, get KT to pair up with Odafe Oweh. Titus Bowser now can be used more in a versatile role. That's kind of what they want to do with him anyway. So, yeah, I think that's phenomenal. I'd be willing to give up a few draft picks if I can move up to 6 and get KT. So, yeah, Panthers able to trade down. We'll see who they get later in the draft. And then the New York Giants, again, I got Cross. I got a Ken McWanu on the board. I'm going with the Sticky Icky. They get their tackle of the future, so they leave the first round with both Sauce and Icky, two of the best nicknames in this draft class. Good on the Giants. They addressed that. Hey, we need to do something for our boy Daniel Jones. So Icky, he either starts right tackle or left guard. That's probably the plan. And then at 8, this one was a bit tough for Atlanta because you could definitely go with Jermaine Johnson. You can definitely go with Derek Stingley, Kyle Hamilton. I think those guys are all on the board. But with how depleted, how barren the wide receiver position is for the Jets, I think they go with wide receiver. And a guy being talked about as the potential top wide receiver in this class. That's right. He's getting love as the top receiver in this class currently. I went with Jameson Williams. There we go. Why are names so difficult? I don't know. You tell me. But Jameson Williams, can you imagine you get the mismatch nightmare in Kyle Pitts and then you have this speedster, rare stop-start ability in Jameson Williams on the outside? That's deadly. That's nuts. You're replacing Calvin Ridley, at least for this year until he returns. Is he in the long-term plans for the Falcons? I guess we'll see. But you replace him with another Bama wide receiver. So we see 2 wide receivers go in the top 10, let alone the top 8. Kind of wild. I kind of think receiver might fall in this draft, much like it did back in 2020? When it was, no, 2021, when Judy and CeeDee Lamb, they didn't go till like 16 and 17. And then I have a trade here at the Seahawks spot. I think the Seahawks, they could take whatever the best talent is on the board, or they could just acquire more draft capital and trade down. And it's kind of a small trade down because I have the Jets traded up a single spot to ensure they get Jermaine Johnson. Because Jermaine Johnson would be a legitimate prospect I think the Seahawks would consider. And I think the Jets would love to come out with another edge in this first round. I think probably they go edge wide receiver in the first round, as long as they stick with both their first round picks. So they do a mini little trade up. I mean, we saw what the Eagles and the Cowboys switched 10 and 12. So in this case, we're switching 10 and 9. And we'll, again, go over the the trade capital at the end. So now with the Seahawks at 10, we could go Charles Cross. I think that's a very viable option with neither Dwayne Brown or Brandon Shell yet to re-sign. But if I'm the Seahawks, I'm going with the biggest high upside players in this class and hoping I hit on them. Because you're in a rebuild. Let's go ahead and try to get some superstars and Pro Bowl caliber players. And that's Derek Stingley. Cornerback position has been, well, not great recently if you're the Seahawks. Derek Stingley, yeah, he has a few red flags with the Liz Frank surgery or injury. But there's no denying what this guy's capable of. If he was able to come out his freshman season, he would have been the top corner off the board. It kind of blows my mind that he could maybe slip out of the top 10, but in this case, he slides just right into the top 10. And then we would have the Washington Commanders with the next pick. But that pick becomes very difficult, so instead, I'm trading back. If I'm Washington, let's see if we could get back some draft capital that we gave away for Carson Wentz. So they trade down, and instead we have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking Malik freaking Willis. I know this has been one I've been doing a lot recently. I think of the Steelers, them and the Saints have been noted as teams that are trying to work on big trades. Again, these are rumors. Take them as you will. It could just be a grain of salt, you know. But rumors are rumors, and that's what I'm basing some of this off of. And rumor is they're willing to make a trade up, a big move to get receiver, Mr. Oh crap, who is the Colbert, right? GM for Steelers. Yeah, Kevin Colbert. Thought so. He says this is his last draft for the Steelers, and he says he doesn't want to leave this team without a quarterback of the future. I don't know if y'all believe Mitch Trubisky's the quarterback of the future, but I personally do not. So I think they maybe make a move on Malik because he was the guy reportedly who the Steelers, who Mike Tomlin, who we all saw, talk to Malik Willis's family, and that's typically a big indicator that, hey, they might be in on a prospect. They did that at the Senior Bowl. So they trade up. They don't have to give up crazy draft capital for this. We'll go over it later in the video at the end. But they move up to 11, and they snag Malik Willis being the first quarterback to come off the board. Crazy world we live in. And then at 12, let me remember who picks at 12. Oh yes, the Minnesota Vikings. I like the idea of receiver, but there's not a receiver here. I mean, you can make a case for Drake London, and I think that's a very good case, but I don't know if that's the receiver that the Vikings are really looking for. Kyle Hamilton's an option because they got right currently at safety. They have Cameron Bynum, who has quarterback experience, but he actually played pretty good in a limited role there at safety after some injuries went down. And they also have who's a long timer there? Suddenly I can't think of names now that the video is rolling. Oh, it's Harrison Smith. I kept thinking Harrison, but I thought it was his last name. So maybe they don't go in that direction. I think a guy that's a good fit for the defense is Trent McDuffie. You either love him or you hate him. You're either not high on him or you are high on him. I think with his type of versatility, a guy that can play safety, slot, and on the outside, he becomes a very valuable piece for Minnesota's defense. And then at 13, I've been saying to the Texans, hey, I would love to be able to get a receiver at that spot. Jameson Williams and Garrett Wilson both off the board. I could go with Drake London being the next guy or even Chris Olave, but I decide to just, hey, when value's there, you take it. So I went with Kyle Hamilton. The question when draft day comes is, how far will the fall be for Kyle Hamilton? And I'm buying into the rumors that he slips out of the top 10. So we go ahead and grab him here at 13. A guy that I've seen projected to go 3 to the Texans. They get him here at 13. So they make it out with both Evan Neal, Kyle Hamilton. It's a hell of a draft for the Texans. And then at 14, this was the trade back for the Panthers. And guess what? I did go quarterback. Is it Kenny Pickett, the guy they've been rumoredly high on? I don't know. He did not accept an invite to the draft. But you know who did? And you know who not a lot of us are talking about? Matt freaking Corral comes in, is the surprise pick for the Panthers. They able to trade down, get draft capital out of it, and they get Corral, man. Corral's a hell of a gunslinger, man. That guy could throw a laser. His touch could be a bit better on downfield throws, but this guy's a baller, man. He's got good escapability. He's good at improvising when need be. Just a dude that needs to kind of like learn to go through his progressions. So you could start the year with Sam Darnold and then ease into Matt Corral. But I really do think the Panthers will be in on a quarterback. Whether, I don't know if Jimmy G will be healthy trade-wise to pass a physical. So I don't know if we'll see, if Jimmy G gets moved, I don't know if we'll see a trade before the draft or during the draft for Jimmy G. But let's say they do go quarterback and they end up getting Matt Corral. So 2 quarterbacks. They go off in the first 14 picks. Will we see another one? I don't know. Titans do picks. So what will the Titans do? We'll find out. But at 15, we have the Eagles, and I go with Drake London. Listen here. Drake London, I think, is a good counterpart to Devontae Smith. In this league, I don't think you necessarily need superstars at the wide receiver position, but rather variety, spice. Variety is the spice of life, and you want variety at that wide receiver position. They missed on J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. They missed on Jalen Reagor. So they grabbed Drake London, who has this ridiculous catch radius, a former basketball player who people give him crap about his separation ability, but I think his separation ability is fine on the short to intermediate, and he is the best contested catch player in this class. He led all of college football with 19 contested catches, and he went down to an ankle injury week 8. He's different than anything else they have on the roster, so we grab him here. He's reportedly going to go higher than this. We'll see come draft time. So we have the New Orleans Saints. They stay put. They just grab Charles Cross. Kind of a no-brainer. Cross, top 10 prospect for me. If he ends up falling to this point and I'm the Saints, I'm ecstatic. I'm happy. I'm exuberant. I'm flabbergasted. Let's go ahead. Get our left tackle of the future with now Terran Armstead gone. James Hurst is fine, but listen, let's grab Cross. There might be a little bit of a stink on Cross in terms of he's coming from the air raid offense, and we've seen guys that come from that system take a year or two to really get equated to the NFL. But he is just so dang good, whether it's grip strength, athletic ability, or his just core strength. Like, the dude had one hell of a year there for Mississippi State. And then 17, hey man, Chargers fans, I know Jordan Davis is an interesting thought, but I want y'all to warm up to the idea, because okay, Chris Olave is a thought here too, but I need y'all to warm up to the idea that y'all could be getting Trevor Penning. I think that might be the case. The NFL are high on guys like him with that type of mentality on the offensive front. And how he tested out leads you to believe he is really not scheme dependent, that this guy can move. You want to get him out on the move. He's going to be instant plus in the run game at right tackle. Just might take a little polish to get him a bit better in pass protection. So they grab him. They try to fortify the right side for Justin Herbert. Though I think receiver would be interested. Jordan Davis obviously would be interested as well. I believe next pick is the Eagles. Yes, and I go with Devontae Wyatt. Typically, the Eagles like to go with younger prospects. Devontae Wyatt will be 24 during his rookie season. But he is ready to start now. If they're looking for a guy that they could really reap the benefits of a rookie contract, Wyatt's kind of the guy. So they come out with a defensive interior. Again, you got questions there with the future of Fletcher Cox. And yeah, they have Hargrave, they have Milton Williams, but having a nice rotation there isn't always a bad thing. So they grab Wyatt here, especially no corner. Like, you could talk about Andrew Booth. I really don't know I haven't really seen a lot of big news recently on Andrew Booth, especially since he had to was unable to participate in his pro day in the combine because of an injury. So Booth falls here. Hey, if you think Booth is a better pick, just close your eyes and make believe that he got picked here. But I went with Wyatt. I think Wyatt and Davis go in the top 20. Speaking of which, I got Jordan Davis going here at 19 to the Saints. Chris Olave was a real consideration. He actually didn't get a top 30 visit from the Saints. Does that mean that they're not in on him? Not necessarily, but maybe they want the unicorn there on the interior. They could use more depth on the interior of that offensive line, and maybe they look to get a wide receiver, maybe like a Sky Moore, Christian Watson, George Pickens, Jahan Dotson, Alec Pierce, Jalen Tolbert in the second round. I'm pretty sure if they see a guy they like, they're gonna trade up in the second round and go after and get him. So for now, we put wide receiver on the back burner. Grab Jordan Davis, kind of a unicorn in this draft. And then this is the trade down spot for the Washington Commanders, and we go ahead and we grab Chris Olave to be that number 2 on the outside for Scary Terry McLaurin himself. You grab Carson Wentz, a solid weapon. You still got De'Ami Brown. You still have Curtis Samuel, who also is Ohio State, by the way. So you get you get that variety at receivers. So I think it's a banger pick. Banger pick. So good on Washington. On to the next. 21 is... Who is 21? The New England Patriots. Let's just go ahead and do this. Devin Lloyd. Listen, I think we'll see a linebacker or two go in the first round. Devin Lloyd, older prospect. The ceiling might not be as high as maybe some of the other guys. Like, you could get a very capable linebacker on day 2. It's just Devin Lloyd has a very good skill set. Like, he's going to translate exceptionally well to the NFL. He's good at clogging run lanes, a very good blitzer. He's got the length to really disrupt passing lanes. And this is a guy, if you want to just, go on the edge and get after it, he's that guy. He's the Dante Hightower replacement. So they grab Lloyd here. It's hard to see Lloyd really falling too far. So I think 21 might be the spot. Of course, if the Patriots don't do Patriot things and trade out of the first round. And then at 22, this is the first pick for the Green Bay Packers. And we go Treylon Burks. He is interested here. I think if any of the top 5 receivers make it to 22, they just go ahead, they pull the trigger. If that's not the case, they might wait to 28 to make a move on receiver. So we grab Burks here. He comes in, he can be their big slot if they want him to, or they could play him on the outside and have him be that big vertical target or a guy you want to get the ball into his hands as soon as possible. Aaron Rodgers, if he's there helping, making picks, best believe wide receiver is going to be one of them. All right, on to 23. I got a trade up. I have a trade up. I got the Cardinals traded down because there wasn't anyone I particularly liked for their pick. So a team with immense draft capital makes a move up the board, and it's the Kansas City Chiefs. They take Daxton Hill. Daxton Hill is being talked about as a top 20 player in this class. That's the case right now. I'm thinking the hype might be real. So best believe if he's available for where the Chiefs could be like, hey, we could ditch some of our draft capital in the later rounds and make a move. Let's go ahead and get him. They like 3 safety sets. So they go ahead, grab Daxton Hill to pair up with Justin Reed, with Juan Thornhill. Good on the Chiefs. I'm just going to make a move over here real quick. Got to stretch those legs, man. Got to stretch those legs because I'm going to be doing a lot of Photoshop after this. Oh, who's next? I think it's the Cowboys. Is it the Cowboys? It is, and I go ahead. I grab George Karlaftis. I got him as a top 15 player. If he makes it here, I know they brought in Dante Hightower, but I think if they snag George Karlaftis here at 24, you're getting a guy that immediately can make an impact in the NFL. You might question the ceiling, but you know this guy's game just translates well to the NFL. The Cowboys, they've been rumored they want to be in on this offensive line class, and we've done that the last few drafts, so want to look at something different. So instead went with Karlaftis, also considered Booth here. And then the Buffalo Bills, listen, I mean, Andrew Booth's available. I think they're taking Andrew Booth. They're going into the season currently with Dane Jackson as their cornerback too. So grabbing talent and competition, never the wrong answer, especially at the corner position. They grab Booth. Booth will go in the first round. How high he goes, that's a big question. I think he could be on the table for the Eagles, but I think his floor is probably the Buffalo Bills. And then at 26, this being the Titans, no trade, I go with Tyler Smith. Listen, Tyler Smith, there has been a little first-round buzz when it comes to Tyler Smith. He was a part of their top 30 visits. He's a guy that they could immediately put at left guard if they're going to move Quentin Radins to right tackle. And suddenly, okay, cool. This is ideally what we have set going into next year. You got Derrick Henry. He is the engine that runs your offense. So you got to make sure the offensive line is top notch. You start Smith off at the left guard spot, and maybe he eventually is the replacement for Taylor Lewan at left tackle. Tyler Smith's getting some buzz. I made him the pick here. I think I was considering Sam Howell and Kenny Pickett because those were 2 guys that the Titans have looked at, but I just find it hard that they might go quarterback in this class. At least early, especially considering they don't have a second-round pick. And then at 27, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go Zion Johnson. Listen, this is the floor for Zion Johnson. If he makes it all the way to 27, he's the pick. Run up the card. He's your left tackle. You got Shaq Mason there at right tackle. Go ahead. You're going into the season with Zion Johnson, who has a little versatility to him to play. Honestly, tackle or center, he can really play any spot along the offensive line. So great pickup here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then the Green Bay Packers take Boye Mafe. I considered Arnold Ebiketie here. In terms of the offensive line, I mean, I think I'd be willing to pull the trigger on Bernhard Raimann, but maybe they won't. So I'm with Boye Mafe, a guy that can get into that rotation right here, right now, and make an impact. We saw, like, he made Bruce Feldman's Freaks List, and they proceeded to show why. That 41.5-inch vert, it's kind of wild. So I think he doesn't necessarily have to be a starter, but he gives them more pass rushers, more variety with Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith there. And this one's the Arizona Cardinals, and we traded down, but I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to snag Kyer Elam for the Cardinals. They get a corner on the outside. They have shown, hey, man, we went with Marco Wilson. Let's go ahead with the better guy at Florida and maybe move Marco Wilson to the slot. They also have Byron Murphy kind of play outside in the slot. So grabbing Kyer Elam to go play solely on the outside, I think is much needed for the Cardinals. They need more talent at the corner position. So Kyer Elam, a guy that's being very underrated. Talking about he might slip out of the first round, and I find that hard to believe, man. He's very talented. Kansas City Chiefs, this is their pick. We're not going wide receiver. We're going with Arnold Ebiketie. Listen, they restructured Frank Clark, but he ain't the long-term answer. Ebiketie's a guy that can immediately start. His skill set is NFL ready now. So Chiefs grab him. They haven't re-signed Melvin Ingram. Matter of fact, my boys, the Dolphins, fins up, got to mention my team, have actually been in talks. He visited with the Dolphins, so maybe they sign Ingram. Maybe they don't. Regardless, the pass rush needs to be addressed. And with your first two picks, the Chiefs, they address defense. I know wide receiver is kind of a thought, but I think being able to snag defense, just talent to help that defense, is very key. And then at 31, man, Bengals fans, hold your hearts. I would go Tyler Linderbaum 100%. If Booth or Ebiketie were there, I would go with them too. Booth and Kyer Elam, there we go. I would go with those guys too. I think they're really interested in this corner class. None of them are available. Well, Tyler Linderbaum is. But spoiler alert, I'm going to explore the idea he slips out of the first round. I mean, I've seen some people say Beef Jurgens is a better center prospect than Tyler Linderbaum. That blows my mind. I'd be willing to take Linderbaum much higher. He'd be a guy I would be willing to pull the shot on in the first round. Oh, Gojo. I already made picks for your Chiefs. You want to come see? Gojo wants to see his picks for the Chiefs. All right, buddy. You grabbed Arnold Ebiketie and Daxton Hill. Are you happy with that? Yeah, Gojo's happy with that. All right, buddy. Let me close out this video. All right, Bengals fans, don't hate me. Let's go ahead and get into it. This was a part of your top 30 visits. I think much like last year, we might see a Houston prospect sneak into the first round. I'm not necessarily that high on him, but they have shown interest in Logan Hall. They actually spent their top 30 visits looking at some day 2, late day 3 guys. Logan Hall was a part of those visits, and I don't think it's because they're considering him on day 2. Logan Hall, much like Peyton Turner, could sneak into the first round, and if so, this might be the spot. He's a guy that's got a lot of versatility, very twitchy. He's a little bit different than what they have on the interior. So they snag Logan Hall. Make of that of whatever you want. And then with the final pick, hey, listen, man. Nakobe Dean was a part of the top 30 visits. Matter of fact, his only top 30 visit was the Detroit Lions. They go ahead, they grab Nakobe Dean here to pair up with Aiden Hutchinson. That's pretty sick. Nakobe Dean, he could slide out of the first. I think that's possible. But I do think maybe we see another linebacker sneak into the first round. Nakobe Dean and Devin Lloyd are the safest possibilities. So Dean going here to the Detroit Lions. Stellar pick. I like it. Let's go ahead, go over the trades. You let me know what you think of this mock. It was a little predictive, but without being too predictive. All right, so the trade for the Ravens. Basically, the Ravens gave up they swapped first this year with the Panthers. They gave up a first next year. Because, hey, man, when you're trading that far up into the top 10, it's going to cost you a pretty penny. And the Panthers were able to receive 2 of the 4, I think it's 4 fourth-round picks that the Ravens have And then the Ravens actually get one of the 5th round picks the Panthers own. So that was the trade there. The trade for the Seahawks, it was basically swapping 9 and 10. They swapped both 3rd rounders, and then the Seahawks pick up a 4th rounder being the 111th pick. So they grab an extra 4th rounder in the process, and they also move up 3 spots in the 3rd round. That was the trade there. Again, they were only moving up 1 spot. There's only so much draft capital you can actually get back for that. All right, here's the big trade. The Steelers, they traded up to 11, and all they had to give away was their 3rd rounder this year and 3rd rounder next year. Listen, Washington is a team that doesn't have a 3rd round pick for the next 2 years. I don't know if it's necessarily going to cost the Steelers a 1st round pick if they have to go up to 11. If Washington really wants to move down, maybe they're willing just to snag a couple of 3rd round picks. So, Steelers, they don't have to give away a 1st round pick next year, and that's kind of gold for them. All right, looking at, I think this is the final trade. This was the Chiefs and the Falcons, and essentially the Chiefs just threw a 4th and a 7th because they got a hell lot of 7th round picks. So the Chiefs threw a 4th and a 7th to move up 6 spots to 23 to snag Daxton Hill. And I think this is a good one for the Cardinals because I believe they have no 4th or 5th rounders. So that is the trade there. You let me know what you think in the comment section below. That's the draft. Again, this isn't necessarily what I think will happen or what I would do, but it's just some of the stuff that I hear is going on. So again, experimenting with Trayvon Walker going at 1, Garrett Wilson going at 4. The potential trade down at 6, what that might look like and who might do it. I experimented with the idea of Jameson Williams being maybe hailed as the first wide receiver off the board. We talked about the Kyle Hamilton fall. The Matt Corral potentially 1st round buzz. We kind of went over the Daxton Hill emergence, but that's kind of something I've experimented with the last few draft videos. Tyler Smith may be sneaking into the 1st round. Arnold Ebiketie may be sneaking into the 1st round. And then, of course, Logan Hall. But I'm sure that's going to be a fun one for Bengals fans. But that's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing. We'll be back Monday with positional rankings as well as a live stream. Me and Alex, we're going to go live again and have some mock draft fun. But until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.